Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. As I promised 2 mornings ago, here we go. We're going to launch the Guinness Mark 1 and then the Guinness Mark 2. Now, the first thing we do with this design is pretend the landing gear were up to begin with, because else they clip into the rocket. Okay, full throttle, SAS on, and we launch. Now, pay attention to what I'm going to say right now, because things get hectic very fast once we get to the point where we have to do stuff to make this keep from falling over and start spinning out of control. When we get to 400 meters per second, I got to throttle down to 2/3. That's the big tick next to the H and the R on the throttle meter. Then, once we get to 450 meters per second, I have to turn on the RCS systems. And then when we get to 500 meters per second, I have to throttle down to 1/3. And then this thing's going to turn over so fast that I have to basically ditch the full tank. I'm doing this a little slower than I should have. I reacted a bit slow, but it's alright, it's forgiving. Like I said, things happen very fast. Turned it down a little too much. But anyhow, you can see it's starting to tilt over on its own, even with all the SAS and everything on. And that's just unavoidable. We have a giant engine stuck to these half-empty tank and a full tank, it's unbalanced. So at 5 degrees, we ditch that tank, and then we pull up. Or rather pull down, but since we're upside down, it's like pulling up. Hey, look, the moon! We could try to go to the moon. No, we really can't. But, anyhow, I'm fully aware that this uses the fuel use glitch, because we're only going at a 1/3 throttle to get into orbit. Sorry about that. I would make it better if I could, but I really can't. I think it's cool, though, anyhow, especially because it's so easy to fly. Anyone could do it. So, let's see, our apoapsis is only at 55 kilometers. Yeah. Great. Great Scott! Sorry. But yeah, it's gonna slowly rise. I don't have to do much course correction, but I do have to pull down just a little, because we like to keep even with the horizon. And this thing should get into orbit by the time it runs out of this tank and goes halfway through this second tank. Actually less than halfway, but oh well. We're turning slightly, 92 degrees. I'm turning it back right now to correct for that, because I don't want to go there. Now let's see. 57? 57? How dare you? Yeah, that needs to be higher, of course, but we're gonna run into it before it'll get higher. But the interesting thing is, we're going almost to orbital speeds right now. We're getting very close. That's just gonna go up and flip around the planet pretty quickly. And cut engines, and let's go ahead and throttle up just a little bit, get that up to there. So we'll go around to there, and then we'll speed up again to get our paraapsis up. And that's pretty much how you get this one into orbit. And you really don't need to see me wait for this to reach 70 kilometers and then speed up again. So I'm not going to bother. So, this is the Guinness Mark II. The reason I'm showing this down here is I think I've noticed why the Guinness Mark II likes to go into a polar orbit instead of a east to west orbit. Notice the direction that this is pointing on the Guinness Mark I, right? And then on the Guinness Mark II, it's going this way. So, that's probably the only reason why I was having that issue. So let's see. That's the right way now. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna launch it. Between your face and fuck you. No. Again, we're going to pretend the landing gear is up. We're going to throttle up. We're going to turn on the SAS, which is going to go wild because we're sitting still, and launch. Now, this thing gets hectic in the exact same way. The difference in when you do stuff, though, is basically you have the same instructions, but at 50 meters per second faster. So we start at 450 meters per second with throttling down to 2/3. At 500 meters per second, we turn on the RCS, and at 550 meters per second, we, what do you call it? We turn down the throttle to 1/3. And as you can see, we're almost at the time where I have to start pushing buttons, and just how long it took me to explain that. That's how crazy it gets going. And so there we go, it's a bit calmer. I need to turn on the RCS. And then at 550, okay, throttle down to 1/3. A little above, a little below, doesn't really matter. It'll still get you where you want to go. I love to look at this. Look at this. Look at this shot. Look at this shot. Doesn't that just look beautiful? Doesn't that just look awesome? You see this thing just majestically flying off. I accidentally took a screenshot. I meant to go to this so that I could hit spacebar when I need to, which is going to be in right about now. And this one doesn't tilt you as much under when you let go of that. Look at that. Watch it just spiral off. It has no idea what it's doing. But as you can see, once we disconnect from that, we're going at a much faster speed, and our apoapsis is already out of the atmosphere. So as you can see, there has been some improvements on this design. Basically, what we did was we added an extra SAS unit to the launch vehicle portion of it, and we lightened this vehicle. It has, since the RCS blocks are the same weight as the linear thrusters, we just replaced 6 of those with 2 of these on this front portion, so that lightened it. It also took some of the weight off of the nose, although it took the weight off the rear too, so that probably didn't actually help much. This combination of a tail fin and a bit right there actually lightens it rather than having a canard. These have been placed further outwards and towards the rear more, so you're less likely to break the engine off on landing, which was an issue with the previous version. And these fins, wings, control surfaces, that's the word I was looking for, have been moved in. Also, the canards, you might have noticed, are angled slightly up for greater stability. Let's see, we're getting close to orbital speed. I could just, like, you know, coast for a bit here, but I don't feel like coasting. I'm just going to wait till that gets to 110, and we're already out of the atmosphere, so I can speed up to that. And I'm just going to let us get a little closer. And I'm going to restore control. Come on, turn, and throttle up. And there we go. And cut engines. No, a little more. I don't know. 12598. Yep. Well, we actually get into orbit with this one. It's eccentric a bit. No. Is that the right word for what I mean? I don't know. But anyhow, it's in orbit. We can circularize this if we wanted to now. I'm not going to, because you've seen me circularize orbits so many times. It's boring now. I mean, let's move on. Let's do something else. I love looking at the orbital map, watching these lines, watching when they're really close to each other. But even that distance is so far apart, they're never going to hit. Even if they did come there at the exact right timing. What is that, an N2 and an N1, or a Guinness? It's an N1. Yeah. in 1 is the Guinness, in 2 is the Guinness Mark II. So everything I have in orbit right now, except for this, the XSS, which is an experimental design which I got rid of, because it was, I forget why I got rid of it. I need to get to the min someday. I think I'll try that with my next video. I'm gonna die so bad if I do that. Well, thank you for watching. There will be more KSP at some point. The planet is moving. Yeah. Bye.